Hey guys, Brian here, and as you guys know, I often get my ideas for content either from things that come up in a given week or questions that I'm asked that are good ones, or in some cases, business practices that I observe that I find pretty unfortunate and common and seem like the kind of thing that you'd want to warn people against doing and explain why, because of the perception it creates that they may not have realized. Often it's the kind of stuff that when you see it explained and you get the perspective of how it comes off to a user, you're like, oh crap, yeah, like I don't want to be sending that message. And in this case, while this channel doesn't talk a whole lot about direct sales, it is implied when we're talking about web copy and email correspondence and SEO. And in this case, came from an anecdotal example of something that's happened a few times, and this time it was probably one of the most blatant examples of something I would urge everyone to avoid. And so I just wanted to go through part of it. Sales outreach. So that often can begin on a social media channel. Sometimes it begins in an email newsletter, however you want to do it. You definitely want to consider the fact that timing is important, and where you initiate that first contact is going to set the tone for the entire dialogue you're hoping to happen first. If you're somebody who just sends unsolicited sales emails all over LinkedIn, for instance, that's already, in my opinion, a little unfortunate because LinkedIn is a connection tool and it doesn't really cast your company in a great light when you just frisbee out a million buy my stuff messages to random strangers on the internet. But if you're going to do that, definitely be conscious of the way that you introduce yourself and the way that you make it clear you're an authentic person and there's some reason that you actually wanted to reach out to this person specifically. Either you've studied them as an individual or you know something about their company and you can make some kind of valid observation about why in a legitimate sense whatever it is you're selling makes sense for that person and invite them to ask questions or learn more. The problem with the common tactic they say in sales, which is assuming the sale, and that means just use language that always implies that you're already doing business together and that it's assumed that they're obviously interested in whatever you're talking about. There's a time and a place where that makes sense, but if you're getting the first two parts of this wrong, assuming the sale actually comes off as obnoxious. If you're sending a message on, say, LinkedIn, where you're not even so much telling them why you think your service is awesome, but you're basically telling them that they are going to buy from you and here are the list of reasons why, that's actually really annoying, especially if you're someone who's kind of stubborn like myself. That triggers in me a feeling of, don't you tell me what I'm going to do. And it backfires hard because you're tempted to think, now in general principle, I'm not going to buy it, even if I really do need it, because I don't like the way you're talking to me. Well, then this gets even worse when, say, this individual emailed me about an hour after the LinkedIn message, basically saying, hey there, Brian, I just messaged you on LinkedIn about my product, but I thought emailing you would probably be better. Copy paste full reiteration of sales pitch, and then at the end, let me know some times that you can meet. Again, presuming the sale. You're not asking me if I'm interested. You're telling me we're going to meet. Let me know when. No. And I found that a little spammy and a little unfortunate. I marked it as spam and moved on. Well, then, about an hour after that, I get a third email from somebody else at that company, which I'm going to show you, and I'll blur out the details of this person's identity, although, sometimes you kind of wish that you could share it to warn people away from this. But anyway, so he says, hey Brian, I believe blank on my team very recently emailed you about potentially working together. I had her reach out because I believe we would be a huge asset in getting you new revenue. Not sure if you guys connected yet, but I wanted to personally step in to discuss this in the context of coronavirus. Conferences are canceled, in-person meetings aren't happening, and people are working from home. Small businesses need help selling their services in this climate, especially given the risk of losing your current clients. We help solve this exact problem. Can we talk this through over a quick call and see if there's something here? A couple of things I don't like about this, other than the fact that this is the third message about this in a 2-hour time span that is obnoxious. He's invoking coronavirus, and I'm sure a lot of you are with me that you're sick of companies constantly throwing this in our faces as an excuse to sell products, just applying the pain, playing on fear. It's just an unfortunate thing. And you're, again, making assumptions about my business. You're saying small businesses need help selling their services in this client. I don't like people making assumptions about my business. I don't currently need this product. I don't need assistance with this. This constant presumptiveness is sort of annoying. Now, if any of you that are following this have followed some of this kind of advice before, something you probably know about me is that I will mark something as spam and move on as many times as the next guy. But every once in a while, when I'm a little ticked, I will actually send a frank email to the person who's reached out to me if I'm sure that it's an actual person and not a bot that's just going to get me subscribed to even more crap. So I wanted to share with you my response to him. I wasn't trying to be a jerk about it, but I was trying to, as politely but assertively as possible, let him know that he crossed a line and to stop wasting my time. And so I said, name, I'll be frank. Getting unsolicited sales pitches with no real conversation first on LinkedIn is already unfortunate. To then get an email from her reiterating the sales pitch an hour later starts to feel spammy. To then get another email the same day from you about the same matter a third time is obnoxious and does not cast your company in a great light. If this is any indication of the type of sales you think you'd be doing for my brand, I would want nothing to do with it. I'm not looking for a service like this at this time, and if I were, this doggedness would discourage me from considering you. Please remove me from any further follow-up you had planned. To me, this is a huge backfire. Like, I'm totally not going to buy from him. If I ever see emails from this company again, I'm going to mark them as spam. If anyone ever asked me an opinion about this company, I would highly discourage them from doing it. And exactly like I said in the email, the whole thing they're offering is to do sales outreach for small businesses like mine. And it just begs me to think, if this is the way you sell, it would be embarrassing for me to have my name associated with this type of process. And quite frankly, think this is embarrassing for anyone. It's just not good. And because this is the first time I've ever interacted with anyone in this company and heard anything about it, it destroys any rapport, any faith I might have had in their ability to do sales. This is just awful. And I really recommend people avoid this. This is also a good lesson as it pertains more directly to SEO, because one of the common ways of asking for backlinks is to do email outreach in a variety of ways that you've probably seen in other videos. I've covered a little bit on the channel myself, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but suffice it to say, there's an art form to sending these types of emails that increase the odds that you're not just going to get deleted and forgotten about. It is a numbers game. Whenever you do that kind of outreach, you go into it knowing 9 out of 10 emails I send are going in the trash. Maybe 1 out of 10 is going to be a person who responds and does something. And the better I can do this email, the higher the odds of getting any success. And the stuff that we're talked about in this video is relevant there too, that you have to bear in mind when you send those emails. This is the first time this person has probably ever heard from you. The way that you stage that and the way that you show some authenticity really matters. And if you mess that up, the best case scenario is they'll just shrug their shoulders, delete your email, and move on. But the worst case scenario is you'll ruffle feathers hard enough, they'll remember you, and that's not something that you want. So anyway, I don't want to rattle on too much and rant about this and make a long video, but I do hope this was legitimately helpful for people, especially if you've been considering doing some sales outreach, or if you have been doing outreach in this manner. Respectfully, you might want to reconsider that method a little bit. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.